All right, here's kind of where we left off last time. I said if you can get through all of lesson 6, or at least to the point of the assessment level, where I said, show me this, okay? Now, hopefully you just watched Danny's video talking about, all right, how do you put in this link for the style sheet? And when you're in code.org here, especially on this assessment level, on this one, when you start out, and I'm going to go back and just do version history so you can see from starting over. Here's what happens. Okay. It says link the style sheet to the web page. So in this case, it looked like there already was one there. But if you were to just go and add a style sheet, it has a different file name. We have to watch for that. Okay, so here's just something to watch for. When you are in code.org, typically I say go to that help and tips and then find this spot right here. This is this area that you copy and paste to put in that spot right after inside the head and closing head tags. Okay. The thing is, this has to be the name of the .css style sheet. So if something doesn't seem to be working or whatever, double check the name, because when you just click a new CSS file, it's going to pop in there and the name's going to be new. If there's one already there, it's probably been named style.css, and then you're fine. Okay. Just a little thing to watch out for. Now, so we've learned all this stuff. What are we going to do today? So, first thing that you're going to do is in lesson number 6, you are going to go into level 11, which has all these challenges. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much on here. I know, but this is where you're going to learn some amazing extra code and especially some great properties. Before you dive into that, I want you to grab your journals, get ready, get to a new page, and I want to put a special section after you've had some of your CSS from before. Your last page of notes should have looked like this, where we had an example rule set that looked like this. So today, you're going to have extra properties in CSS. Now, I'm just going to be honest. In W3 schools, if you go into CSS and look at properties, there's hundreds, if not thousands of them. There's no way we could go through and list them all and learn them all. I don't even know all of them. We're just kind of hitting some of the popular ones. Anything you want to do or investigate, by all means, go in and start investigating that yourself. And then you can teach all of us what you've learned, because there's just so much out there. Okay. All right. So first of all, in this first section, I want to talk about color. You've done probably quite a bit with color. You know that once you type color, it probably pops up and it will automatically put the colon in there. Then here, you either are going to type the name, like Bisque or Rebecca Purple or whatever, or you're going to type RGB, red, green, blue, parentheses, and then put 3 numbers in there, 10, 10, 10, or whatever. Anything from 0 to 255, always ending with a semicolon. So there's your options for color. Now you can put this in for any of your HTML tags. You could put it in for paragraphs, for H1 headings, H2, H3, and so on. You could do your lists. You could do the whole body, and in one rule set, you could make all of your text the same color. Whatever you like, that's fine. Okay, that's how you do color. This command only does the text though. Okay, if you want to do something fun with the background, well, then that's a different command. Here's how this looks. And I can't honestly remember if you've seen much of this yet. Sometimes in code, what I've noticed is they just say background and then they put in a color. However, if you type background dash color, then the nice thing about it is then it will pop up with that list again. So then you can either type in the name of the color that you want, semicolon, or you could put in the RGB stuff again and program your own specific color. Just make sure that you have the 3 numbers in there, whatever they may be. Just say 000. Okay, so those are the 2 color ones. Now, here's what happens. If you say put in a background color under a rule for the body, then that it will be your background color for the entire page. If you only do it for P for paragraphs, then each of your paragraphs is going to have this block of color in the background. Play around with that and see if you like it. It's just an interesting way to go ahead and add in some background colors. Okay. All right. That takes care of the color stuff. Next is we have a whole bunch of font properties. Okay. Kind of that first one that you saw and we've used a lot is font dash size, colon. It usually pops up with a whole bunch of choices. Again, there's tons of them there. I don't understand all of them or I haven't used all of them. So feel free to investigate as much as you want, but I'm just going to give you about 4 of the most popular. Font dash size, then you put a number here and it's going to be measured in pixels. So if you said something like 40 px and then put the semicolon, there's an example. Okay, so that's a font one. Another one that gets used frequently is font dash family. That actually changes the font. It will pop up with a number of choices here, okay, like cursive and serif and so on. So you can choose from there. Okay, you have to put something in there. Let's see, here's a couple that you may not have seen yet. One is called font dash weight. When you investigate this one, I think there are a bunch of numbers that come up, but eventually you would see something like bold, which you could choose. So if you wanted just to give an extra bold to something, you could use this one. And then finally, font dash style is one that sometimes we can use. It gives you a number of choices, but I have used it sometimes to make something italicized. So you can say italic for the value there. Okay, so I've got about 4 font properties that are kind of cool you might wish to use. And these next ones all have to do with your text. Okay, first, text align is one that's very common. And you get the choice of using left, right, center. Justify stretches it out to be both. Okay, so you can say like center. We'll throw that in there. Okay, so text align is a common one. Text decoration. We haven't seen this one yet, I don't think. But text decoration gives you the ability to underline. I think it also gives you the opportunity to overline, to put the line through. So that's just something you might want to investigate in that one. This one you haven't seen yet, and it's one of my favorites. Text dash shadow. Oh my gosh, text dash shadow adds kind of like another, you can make it be another color, and it kind of makes titles and headings really pretty. So here's how you have to format this one. I'm going to give you some examples. You can change the numbers, but just write this down. So you have text dash shadow, put a colon, you leave a space, then write this 2px, leave a space, no semicolon yet, write 2px again, leave a space, write something like 5px, leave a space, and then write in a color name like blue. Okay, here's what's going to happen. This first number is going to tell you what kind of a shadow to put behind a title to shift horizontally. Okay, if it's a positive number, like I have 2, it's going to shift it to the right. If it were negative, it'd shift your shadow to the left. This second number, similarly, is going to blur stuff vertically. The third number is something called the blur. Oh my gosh, I'll show you this in a second. And then the last number is what color do you want your shadow to be? Amazing. There's one last one here I want to add in, and this one is called letter spacing. I think it's letter dash spacing. And then put in a relatively small number here for your pixels, like a 2 pixel. And what it does, it kind of stretches out your letters wider. Stop the video and pause this here so you can get all these up here, okay? Because you've got 3 texts plus this letter one. There were 4 font ones and a couple with color. And that's because we're going to investigate some of these and some of these additional levels in level 11 and then in lesson 7, the first level. And then we're going to put all this to use as you start playing around with some of these. So let's do this. Let's have you go to lesson 11, part A. Okay. Or I should say level 11, part A. And when we go here, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go and undo my version history so that I'm starting from scratch here. Just because right now it's telling you to change the font family in the style sheet. Okay. And do that. But I'm going to first of all show you what also is cool with text shadow. So it says that determines stuff with the pair. Okay. Change the font family for H1 or H3. So right now, you will see in the paragraphs, the font family is cursive. So you can see this font right here looks a little different than the top ones. So here's what we're going to do. Okay. Come up here after line 3, after that font size property, and let's do this. Let's put in, well, first let's do font dash family. It's right here. You can choose, don't choose inherit. That is tying it to another property. So just use cursive, fantasy, monospace, sans serif, or serif. I'm just going to use cursive and put a semicolon there. Now watch what we're going to do next, just so I can demonstrate the text shadow because it's so cool. So start typing text dash shadow. Now, here's what it does. It puts in the colon, doesn't tell you what to do. That's why we got to keep track of our notes. So we're going to say, let's make a shadow that's 2 pixels horizontally. It's hard to see right now, but it actually is, it looks like a little like double stamp there. Put a space, do a 2px again for a vertical. Now you can start to see stuff happening. Yeah. The next one, we're going to do 5px because that's going to add a blur. Oh my stars, look at this. And then put a space. And now let's type in a different color so that we see some contrast here. Okay, so instead of red, I'm going to do something like yellow. Okay, and put the semicolon. Now you can see what's happening. Kind of like puts in this little poof behind it. It's kind of cool, I gotta say. All right. I wanted to specifically show you the text shadow one because I think that's very cool. Okay, so we've kind of gone through lesson 6, level 11, part A. Your job today is going to be to do A, B, C, D, and E. Don't do F, just go through E. Then, once you get through with these, then what I want you to do is move on into lesson 7. Lesson 7, go into level number 1, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's more. You're right, there's 5 more, so you can keep getting practice with these properties, okay? And then, if you get through all that, then you can go on into level 2, where it says, start now next wave of your project. Now here, they're assuming that you are making a brand new web page again, and they're saying, do what you did in your project guide. I'm like, hold on, time out. What I want you to do is hop back to lesson number 4. Okay, lesson 4, last level. Grab your content from your web page after the body tag, come on down, copy all of it. Excuse me. Come on. Here's mine. Okay. Do a copy, hop back in here, and do a paste. Sweet. Hurry up, hit refresh, and save. If you get that far today with getting through all of level 11 and then level number 1 on lesson 7 with all this extra practice, you're in great shape. If you get to level 2 where you're bringing forward your existing web page, awesome. All right. That's really as far as I need you to go, because next time what I'll have you do is we'll do a check-in on these CSS properties, and then you're going to start adding some of these properties to your web page. Cool. All right. So go ahead, get some happy coding done, and enjoy, especially investigating some of this color. And oh my gosh, especially text shadow. I know this is where my nerdiness comes out, but it's one of my favorites, is doing a bunch of these. Okay. So happy coding, enjoy, and go to town.